Kana Habnapi relatives, Membiwa, Tahushka, Obi Miha. I say good day to you. My name is Obi Miha in the Tulo language. All right, relatives. So we are going to do another family for one of my subscribers. Conversated a little bit in the chat today about their family history. So we're actually going to get into the Harris family. And the Harris line actually is kind of a big deal. Definitely core Sioux Indian surname. And various tribes. The Catawba, the Saponi, Okinichi, Wakama, you name it. So I mean, this is a big deal. All right, so let's get into it. This is the Harris family. So it says Joan Harris, born say 1635, may have been identical to my Negro man John, named in Thomas Whitehead's April 6, 1660 York County will, by which he set John free. Gave him all his wearing apparel and 2 cows, lent him as much land as he could tend himself, and appointed him guardian of his daughter if the court would permit it. On September 11th, 1660, the court declared that John was a free man and ordered that the cattle and other things be delivered to him according to the will. On October 28th, 1667, John Harris, Negro, purchased from Robert Jones of Queens Creek 50 acres in New Kent County, adjoining Mr. Baker's, in the main swamp by deed recorded in York County on April 12, 1669. All right. The members of the Harris family who may have been descendants of John Harris were Martha, born say 1720, Salomon, born say 1722, James, born say 1723, Mary, born say 1729, Edward, born say 1730, Martha, born say 1730, Eleanor, born say 1732, George, born say 1732, Martha, born say 1733, married Joseph Hawley of Granville County, North Carolina. Then we got Phoebe, born about 1734. Then we got Nathan, born say 1735. All right, let's keep it moving. Martha Harris, born say 1720, was the mother of a mulatto boy named Charles Harris, who was bound to Llewellyn Epps in Charles City County in August 1746. She was the ancestor of Charles, born say 1740, bound apprentice in August 1746. Then she had another child, but they don't have her name, his or her name. Born say 1744. Then we got Joan, born say 1752. All right, next we got William, born say 1755, a deserter from Captain Thomas Massey's new recruits for the 6th Virginia Regiment, according to the November 21st, 1777 issue of the Virginia Gazette, which offered a reward for his return, describing him as a mulatto fellow about 5 feet 11 inches high, the veins in his leg much broke, appear in knots. He was enlisted in New Kent, but expect he is lurking about Charles City. It says he was listed in the payroll of Captain Thomas Massey, 6th Virginia Regiment, for the months of November 1777 and January 1778. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Betty, born about 1760. registered in Petersburg on July 13th, 1805. A yellow-brown mulatto woman, 5 feet and 1/2 inches high, 45 years old, born free in Charles City County. All right, next we got Edward, born, say, 1760. Then we got Richard, born, say, 1775. Taxable on one tithe and a horse in Charles City County in 1800. And it says head of a Charles County household of 6 other free in 1810. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Solomon Harris, born, say, 1722, sued Abraham Morris in Charles City County Court in July 1744, but failed to prosecute. He was a tithable in Lunenburg County in the list of Louis Deloney in the household of Thomas Evans in 1748, and was tithable in his own household in William Howard's list for 1749 and 1750. The 1751 list of Phil Jefferson and the 1764 list of Edmund Taylor. He and his wife Sarah and son William were 3 black tithables in the 1765 Granville County, North Carolina list of William Bullock. He was the father of. We got Mary, born, say, 1750. We got William, born about 1753, taxable in his parents' household in William Bullock's Granville County list in 1765. He was married to Edie Stewart by September 11, 1780, when the Mecklenburg County Court ordered Zachariah Mollett to deliver up the will of her mother, Patty Stewart, deceased, on the motion of William Harris and Edie, his wife. All right, then we got John, born, say, 1755. Then we got Phoebe, born, say, 1755. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's see, James Harris, born, say, 1723, a free Negro, was sentenced to 15 lashes when he confessed in Charles City County Court in February 1743-44 that he had stolen a small quantity of sugar from the store of James Ray. Then it says George Ming paid his court fees. He was taxable in Charles City County from 1784 to 1787, called James Harris Sr. in 1787, when he was not tithable on his person. It says he made a July 29, 1784 Charles City County will, by which he directed that his stock of sheep should be sold, his crop delivered to Abraham Brown, and the rest of his estate divided among his children. His son Joan Harris expected. He named Abraham Brown executor. The will was proved on May 21st, 1791 by oath of Dixon Brown, a witness making his mark. Then it says James Harris was granted administration on the estate on £50 security. James Sr.'s widow was apparently Frances Harris, who was a witness to the December 15, 1791 Charles City County will of Sarah Brown, widow of Abraham. Frances left a November 12, 1803 Charles City County will, proved June 19, 1806. She left a bed and furniture to her grandson George Hunt Harris, son of Haley Harris, left son Chavis Harris, and his wife Susanna all the rest of her estate, excluding her wearing apparel. Left granddaughter Rebecca Brown, daughter of John Brown, a spinning wheel and cards. Left her wearing apparel to be divided among her daughters, Susanna Brown, wife of Dixon Brown, Susanna's daughter, her grandchild, Cecilia Harris, and Rebecca Brown, wife of Edward Brown. She named her son-in-law John Brown, Abraham Brown, and William Brown executors. She made a codicil stipulating that her son John and James Harris and her daughter Priscilla were to receive no more than 1 penny each. She was the mother of. All right. First, we got John, born, say, 1751, perhaps identical to Jack Harris, who ran away from William Hardyman of Charles City County on June 20th, 1771. According to the July 11th, 1771 issue of the Virginia Gazette, a mulatto man named Jack Harris, about 5 feet 9 inches high, has a flat nose. All right, now we have a link here for a digital collection, so let's click on it real quick just to see if it pulls up anything. All right, so it does pull up the paper where we just read that information here on the side. All right, let's go back. All right. Next, we have James, born, say, 1760. Priscilla, born, say, 1765. Wife of John Brown and mother of Rebecca Brown. Then we got Haley, born, say, 1770. Father of George Hunt Harris, who was called Hunt Harris when he was a mulatto taxable in Charles City County in 1813 and 1814. Then we got Chavis, born, say, 1780. Susanna, wife of Dixon Brown. Then we got Rebecca, wife of Edward Brown. All right, let's keep it moving. Mary Harris, born, say, 1729, a mulatto orphan, was living with Willing Wynn, on October 4th, 1734, when the vestry of St. Andrew's Parish in Brunswick County, Virginia, paid him to keep her until she reached the age of 21. She may have been the daughter of Catherine Harris, no race indicated, who was presented by the Prince George County Court on November 13th, 1739, for having a bastard child. And it says perhaps the Catherine Harris who died before October 10th, 1741, when Thomas Noose was paid by the St. Andrew's Parish vestry of Brunswick County for making her coffin. Mary was called a free mulatto on December 15, 1767, when the Mecklenburg County, Virginia court ordered the church wardens to bind her son Nimrod and William to Petersfield, Jefferson. All right, it says she was the mother of Nimrod, born, say, 1764, bound apprentice on December 15, 1767. He and William Harris were free Negro taxable in Pennsylvania County in 1789, and he was taxable there in 1793 and 1794. Then we got William, born, say, 1766, bound apprentice on December 15th, 1767. Then we got Catherine, born, say, 1767, bound to Petersfield, Jefferson in Mecklenburg County, Virginia on November 11th, 1771. All right, next we got James, born about 1769, ordered bound apprentice to Benjamin Farrell in Mecklenburg County on December 9th, 1771, and registered in Mecklenburg County on June 29th, 1812. This is to certify that James Harris, who was born and raised in the county of Mecklenburg and Commonwealth of Virginia, is a free man. He is 5 feet 7 inches high, of a color but little removed from black, is about 40 years old, and has lost his upper 4 teeth. The said James Harris was bound to and served his apprenticeship with Benjamin Farrell, late of this county and Commonwealth, after said deceased, where he has resided ever since and has, informally, as far as I can recollect, ever to have heard supported a good character. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have, looks like Edward Harris, born, say, 1730, had two taxables in his Granville County, North Carolina household in the list of Jonathan White in 1750. He was called a Negro in the 1752-54 tax list, and in October 8th, 1754 muster roll of the Granville County Regiment of Colonel William Eaton. All right. In 1753, he was tithable but refused to pay tax for his wife, perhaps claiming she was white. She was the light-skinned daughter of William Chavis, who made a deed of gift of 340 acres in Granville on the north side of Tabbs Creek to his daughter, Sarah Harris, wife of Edward Harris, on September 6, 1756. Edward and Sarah were taxables with their children in all the extent Granville County colonial tax list. In 1782, he was taxed on 190 acres for horses and 6 cattle in Fishing Creek District. His wife Sarah died in January 1785, according to the deeds of her oldest son Gibson and Sherwood, who sold their interest in her dower lands to John Penn, administrator of her estate. Penn divided the remaining 192 acres among her other 2 sons, Jesse and Salomon, on March 13, 1789. In 1785, Edward, or his son by that name, was a buyer at the sale of an estate in Northampton County, and he was head of a Northampton County household of 10 other free in 1790. Edward and Sarah's children named in the tax list in Sarah's 1789 Granville County bequests were, we got Amy, born about 1749, taxable in her parents' Epping Forest District household in 1761. We got Lucy, born about 1752, taxable in her parents' household in Samuel Benton's list for Epping Forest District in 1764. And we got Nancy, born about 1752, taxable in her parents' household in Samuel Benton's list for Epping Forest District in 1764. Then we got Nellie, born about 1754, taxable in her parents' household in the list of Stephen Jett in 1766. Then we got Edward Ned, born about 1756, taxable in the list of Jonathan Cottrell in 1768. He died before July 14, 1792, when his brother Gibson, as eldest brother and heir at law to Edward Harris deceased, gave power of attorney to Philemon Hodges to receive his pay for service in the Revolution. His brothers, Sherwood and Salomon Harris, made a similar deposition confirming Gibson's statement on July 22nd, 1792. All right, let's keep it moving. It says Gibson, born about 1760, not mentioned in the tax list, but sold his share of land to John Penn on July 5th, 1785, identifying it as the land which William Chavis gave to his daughter Sarah, wife of Edward Harris. In the 1778 Granville County militia returns for Captain Abraham Potter's company, he was listed as a 17-year-old black man, occupation planter. J. Craven received his final pay of 41 pounds for his service in the Army, and he was head of a Surry County, North Carolina household of 12 other free in 1810. All right, keep it moving. Next, we got Sherwood, born, say, 1761, not mentioned in the tax list, but sold his share of his mother's land to John Penn on December 24th, 1785. He was head of a Wake County household of 6 other free in 1800 and 10 in Granville County in 1810. George Pettiford testified for the pension application of his widow Patty Harris that he was acquainted with Sherwood when they both served in the Revolutionary War. Both settled in Granville County, and Sherwood died there. Then it says on November 23rd, 1797, a warrant for 228 acres was issued for Sherwood's 2.5 years of service. Let's take a look at this link real quick. See if we see anything on it. All right, let's zoom in. So it looks like it says Patty or Martha Harris. And it says widow of Sherman Harris. All right. Okay. Let's head back. All right. Then we got Jesse, born, say, 1762, not taxed in his father's household, but named as Edward and Sarah's son in his brother's 1785 deeds. He received half of his mother's land by the 1789 division of her estate. He was taxable in Granville County on 50 acres in 1789 and sold his farm animals in Granville County on March 10, 1791. He married Elizabeth Ivy, November 29, 1790, Wake County bond. He was taxable on 100 acres in 1798 and was head of a Granville County household of 2 other free in 1800 and 4 in 1810. He was taxable on 200 acres in Beaver Dam District of Granville County in 1805, called Jesse Harris of color, but was assessed only poll tax in 1808, called Free Negro. Then it says he was about 60 years old on February 21st, 1821, when he made a declaration in Wake County Court to obtain a pension for service in the Revolution. He stated that he enlisted for 18 months at Hillsborough in the 10th Regiment commanded by Captain William Little, was transferred to Captain Hadley's company and served until the end of the war. By his first wife, he had 4 children, one named Fennel, 17 years old, living with him, and by his second wife, a child, Billy, who was also living with him. His second marriage was to Julia Tabor, February 23rd, 1820, Wake County bond, Thomas Roycroft bondsman. All right, let's take a look and see what's in this image or this link. All right, this shows Jesse Judah Harris. All right, let's go back. All right, next we got Salomon, born, say, 1767, named in his brother's 1785 Granville County deeds. He received half of his mother's remaining land by the 1789 division of her estate. He was taxable on 103 acres in Fishing Creek District of Granville County in 1796, 73 acres in 1798, and head of a Granville County household of 4 other free in 1800. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Martha Harris, born, say, 1730. Was the mother of Isham Harris, who was bond by the Lunenburg Court to Amos Timms, Jr. on October 13, 1763. She married John Stewart, who died before February 14, 1765, when the Lunenburg County Court ordered the church wardens of St. James Parish to bind his orphan daughter Eleanor Stewart to William Taylor. Mecklenburg County was formed from St. James Parish later that year, and in September 1722, the Mecklenburg County Court bound Eleanor to Molly Taylor. Then it says on April 27, 1777, Martha's son Moses Stewart purchased 100 acres from Henry Jackson in Mecklenburg County on the south side of Allen's Creek, adjoining Stephen Mallet, with Stephen and Zechariah Mallet as witnesses. And it says she apparently purchased this land in his name since he was only 10 years old at the time. Her January 17, 1779 Mecklenburg County will, witnessed by Zechariah Mallet, was proved October 9th, 1780 on motion of her executor, Henry Jackson. By her will, she left her land to her son Moses and left livestock and money to her children Isham, Nellie, Edie, Fanny, Moses, Sinai, and Desai. She was counted as head of a Mecklenburg County household of 7 persons in 1782, but this was probably the listing for her estate, which included 54 acres of land that was sold for taxes in 1793. All right, it says Martha was the mother of. We got Isham Harris, born about 1759, called Isham Harris, son of Patty Stewart, on October 13th, 1763, when he was ordered bound to Amos Timms, Jr. by the Lunenburg County Court. On April 13th, 1769, the court ordered Isham bound instead to John Evans, alias Epps. He was taxable in John Evans' Lunenburg County household in 1772. He may have been the Isham Harris, a mulatto, who was presented by the Pennsylvania County Court on May 15, 1797 for retailing liquor without a license at a cabin on the island of Daniel Molly. He was a free Negro taxable in Pennsylvania County in 1797. He applied for a pension for service in the Revolution at the age of 84 years on August 8, 1843, in Rutherford County, North Carolina, stating that he was born in Charlotte County, Virginia in 1759, and that he was drafted in Lunenburg County. James and Abel Harris certified that they had seen this discharge papers. His claim was rejected. His son Isaac Harris applied for his father's pension in January 1852. All right, let's look at this image, see what we find. All right, there we got Isham Harris. All right, let's go back. All right, and next we have Eleanor Harris, born, say, 1732, was living in Brunswick County, Virginia, on January 23rd, 1753, when the court ordered the church wardens of St. Andrew's Parish to bind her mulatto son Moses to jury stiff gentleman. Says she was the mother of. We got Moses, born, say, 1748. We got Drury, born, say, 1758, listed in the payroll of the 3rd South Carolina Regiment of Colonel William Thompson in August 1779, in the same list as Benjamin Holly, Barry Jeffries, Gideon Griffin, Osborne Jeffers, Allen Jeffers, and John Busby. And in the payroll for March 1780, he was the cousin of Edward Harris of Richland District, who also served. And let's look at this link real quick. All right. Edward Harris, Clarissa Harris. Okay. Let's go back. It says he was head of a Richland County, South Carolina household of one free colored man over 55 years of age in 1830. All right, next we got Hardy, head of an Abbeville District, South Carolina household of 3 other free in 1810. An over 45-year-old head of a Rutherford County, Tennessee household of 6 free colored in 1820, listed near John Roos, who was also in Abbeville in 1810. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got George Harris, born, say, 1732, was head of a household with his wife, Catherine, in the Oxford District of Granville County, North Carolina in 1761. He purchased 144.5 acres in Granville County near John Tatum's line for 105 pounds on February 6, 1775. Taxable in Granville County on 145 acres, 3 horses and 12 cattle in the Ragland District in 1782. Head of a Granville County household of 7 persons for the 1786 state census, and taxable in Granville on his land for the last time in 1789. His children were Mary, born, say, 1750, taxable in Granville County household of her father, George Harris, in Samuel Benton's list for 1762 and 1764. Then we got Edward or Ned, born, say, 1760. Next, we got Claiborne, born about 1766, head of a Wake County household of 5 other free in 1800, 11 in Stokes County in 1810, and 12 free colored in Stokes County in 1820. He entered the, looks like northwest part of Section 34, Town 10, Range 5 in Marion Township, Owen County, Indiana, on August 10th, 1836, and southwest-southeast of Section 28 on February 8th, 1845. He sold the southwest-southeast part of Section 28 a month later, on March 4th, 1845. He was head of an Owen County, Indiana household of 3 free colored, one of them a woman over 100 years of age in 1830, 5 free colored in 1840, and head of a household in Marion Township, Owen County, Indiana, in 1850. An 84-year-old black farmer born in North Carolina with $250 in real estate, listed next door to Hardin Harris, a 53-year-old black farmer born in North Carolina with $60 real estate. All right, so next we have Hardy, born, say, 1772, married Polly Evans, October 22nd, 1793, Wake County bond, John Riley bondsman, and was head of a Wake County household of 3 other free in 1800. All right, keep it moving. Next, we got Phoebe Harris, born about 1734, registered in Petersburg on October 20th, 1794. A brown mulatto woman, 5 feet 2 inches high, supposed 60 years old, born free in county of Prince George. She may have been the mother of. We got James, born about 1748. John, born, say, 1760, a mulatto, taxable in Dinwiddie County in 1790 and 1792. Excuse me. And a free taxable from 1794 to 1801, when he was listed as a Cooper in the same district. As another free John Harris and the free Andrew Harris. He was called a free man of color on April 27, 1818, when he made a declaration in Prince George County to obtain a pension for his services, stating that he enlisted in the 1777, that he enlisted in 1777 in the 15th Virginia Regiment. He was taken from the regiment and made a servant to President Monroe, who was then the major of horse and aide-de-camp to Lord Stirling. He was discharged in the spring of 1779 and re-enlisted in 1780 under Colonel William Davies for about 6 months, employed principally in building the barracks at Chesterfield Courthouse. He made a second declaration on May 18, 1821 in Petersburg Court, stating that he was about 69 years old and residing in Dinwiddie County in the intermediate vicinity of Petersburg. He was a cooper by trade, and his family consisted of himself and 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. Then it says Aggie, born about 1769, registered in Petersburg on August 20th, 1794, a brown mulatto woman, 5 feet 2 inches high, 25 years old, born free and raised in Prince George County near Petersburg. Her son Thomas registered in June 10th, 1805, a dark brown Negro man. It doesn't say how tall he was. It says feet, inches, 5 high. 20 years old, August 10th, next son of Aga Harris, a free Negro woman. Then we got Betty, born about 1770, registered in Petersburg on August 20th, 1794, a brown mulatto woman, 5 feet 4 inches high, 24 years old, born free and raised in Prince George County near Petersburg. All right, let's keep it moving. Then we got Nathan Harris, born, say, 1735, a taxable head of household with his wife, Amy, in the 1758 Granville County, North Carolina list of Nathaniel Harris. He entered 200 acres on the waters of Beaver Dam Creek in Granville County on March 22nd, 1780, and another 350 acres in 1779. He was assessed tax on 737 pounds in Beaver Dam in 1780, but by 1785 he was in Northampton County, where he was a buyer at the sale of an estate. He was head of a household of 6 other free in 1800 in Northampton County, where he was renting the estate of Edward Capel and 7 other free in Franklin County in 1810. Nathan and Amy may have been the parents of. We got Ephraim, head of a Franklin County household of 8 other free in 1810. Elizabeth, born, say, 1762, married Drury Walden in Northampton County in 1780, according to his pension records. Then we got Henry, born before 1766, head of a Halifax County, North Carolina household of 4 other free in 1800 and 9 free colored in 1820. Then we got Mary, head of a Northampton County household of 3 other free in 1800. Then we got Hamilton, born 1776 to 94, head of a Halifax County household of 4 other free in 1810 and 2 free colored in Wilkes County in 1820. Then we got Airy, head of a Halifax County household of 3 other free in 1810. Ruthin, head of a Halifax County household of 3 other free in 1810. Then we got William, head of a Halifax County household of 2 other free in 1810. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got, doesn't show the first name, but Harris, born, say, 1743, was the mother of several illegitimate children by Dixon Brown. Dixon made a January 24th, 1811, Charles City County will, proved January 18th, 1821, by which he left 30 acres to his illegitimate children, Polly Harris, Susanna Harris, wife of James Harris, and Peggy Bowman, which was the land they were then living on. Susanna Harris died intestate without a living child before October 1826, when Polly Harris, Morris Harris, and Patsy, his wife, Peg Bowman, James Brown Jr., son of Dixon, and his wife Sally, and Peter Brown and his wife Susan appointed James Brown to sell the 10 acres she received by her father's will. Edward Brown was the highest bidder at the $32. She was the mother of Polly Harris, born say 1760, died before May 26, 1832, when her estate was sold. Edward Bowman, Abraham Brown, and John Bowman were buyers at the sale. Then we got Susanna, died before October 1826, when her heirs appointed James Brown to sell her land. Then we got Peg Bowman, and then we have Morris, born say 1784. All right, let's keep it moving. Joan Harris, born say 1752, was a mulatto servant who was discharged from the service of Benjamin Abbott by the Halifax County, Virginia court on June 17, 1773, because he had no indentures. He had no indentures for her. That's interesting. Y'all just heard that. On January 16, 1777, the court ordered the church wardens to bind out Mill Harris, daughter of Johanna Harris, to Benjamin Abbott. And on March 18, 1784, the court ordered the church wardens to bind Jean's bastard mulatto boy, Micaiah Harris, to Edward Akin, but rescinded the order on June 17 that year and ordered him returned to his mother. And it says she was the mother of Mill, born say 1776, and Micaiah, born say 1780. All right, keep it moving. Next we got Edward Harris, born about 1760, registered in Chesterfield County on January 9th, 1809. Color yellow, age 40 years, stature 5 feet 7 inches, born free. He may have been the Edward Harris who was head of a Charles City household of 5 other free in 1810, and a mulatto taxable in Chesterfield County from 1810 to 1827, taxable on 2 tithes and 3 horses in 1810, 1811, and 1813. Living on James Scott's land with his 6 children in 1811. He was about 60 when he appeared in Chesterfield County Court on March 14, 1820, to apply for a pension for his service in the Revolution. He stated that he enlisted in Amelia County in Colonel Richard Campbell's regiment in 1780 and was discharged in January 1782. He had a wife, 3 daughters over 21, and a son about 13 living with him. And it says he owed Mr. James B. Scott, on whose land he lived, 2 years' rent of 40 pounds. All right, let's take a look at this link real quick. All right, and then there we see Mr. Edward Harris. Okay, let's go back. And it says he was the father of, we got Archer, born August 18th, 1812, registered in Charles City County on June 16th, 1836, son of Ned Harris, mulatto man, 23, the 18th August last. All right, keep it moving. Next, we have Mary Harris, born, say, 1738, was living in Brunswick County on November 24th, 1756, when the court ordered the church wardens to bind out her natural child, Isham Harris. She was apparently identical to Mary Harris, now Stewart, whose son Isham Harris was ordered bound out by the church wardens of St. James Parish in Mecklenburg County Court on November 8th, 1766. She was married to William Stewart when they sold 200 acres on Little Creek in Mecklenburg County on February 11, 1788. William Stewart was head of a Wake County household of 11 other free in 1790 and 11 other free and 2 slaves in 1800. She was the mother of Isham, born, say, 1756, bound out in Mecklenburg County on November 8, 1766. He sued Frederick Collier and Samuel Lark for trespass, assault, and battery in Mecklenburg County Court on July 13, 1784. Lucy Poole was deposed as his witness. Both suits were dismissed. He married Mary Doby, January 11, 1792, Wake County bond, and was head of a Wake County household of 7 other free in 1800. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Joan Harris, born, say, 1755, was head of a Warren County, North Carolina household of 6 other free in 1790, and was married to the widow of Stephen Walden by May 1791, when he settled Stephen's Warren County estate. Salomon Harris. And it says John Walden and Jesse Cunningham were buyers at the sale of the estate. John's children may have been Kizzy, born before 1776, head of a Warren County household of 3 other free in 1810 and 1 free colored in 1820. Then we got Phil, born, say, 1778, head of a Warren County household of 4 other free in 1800, 3 in 1810, and called Philemon Harris when he was head of an Orange County household of 3 free colored in 1820. All right. Next, we got Phoebe Harris, born, say, 1755, was living in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, on June 12, 1780, when the church wardens were ordered to bind out her daughter, Elizabeth, a poor orphan. On February 11, 1782, the church wardens were ordered to bind her bastards, Millie and Jeremiah, no race mentioned, to Edward McDaniel. And it says her children were Elizabeth, born, say, 1772, Millie, born, say, 1773, Jeremiah, born, say, 1775, married Lydia Chavis on November 13, 1797, Mecklenburg County bond, James Chavis security. Perhaps the Jeremiah Harris, who was head of a Richland County, South Carolina household of 6 other free in 1810 and 4 free colored in 1830. Then we got John married Rita Stewart, December 27th, 1802, Mecklenburg County bond, Jer Harris security. All right. Next, we got James Harris, born, say, 1760, was called James Harris Jr. when he was taxable in Charles City County in 1783, taxable on a horse in 1790 and 1800, charged with 2 tithes in 1806, called James Sr. in 1810, listed as a mulatto in 1813, and head of a household of 5 other free in 1810. He was a resident of Charles City County on August 17, 1820, when he appeared in court to apply for a pension for his service in the Revolution. He stated that he enlisted in February 1778 in Charles City County, was marched to Valley Forge under Captain Callowhill Menace, entered the company under the command of Colonel Richard Parker of the 1st Virginia Regiment, and was discharged in Middlebrook, New Jersey. He was a farmer with a 58-year-old wife who was sickly. All right, and let's check out his Fold 3 image. All right, there it is, James Harris. All right, and those are just the showing his muster rolls when I click on those. His wife, Susanna Harris, illegitimate daughter of Dixon Brown, received 10 acres of land by the January 24th, 1811 Charles City County will of her father. She died intestate without a living child before October 1826, when her sister Polly Harris, Morris Harris, and Patsy, his wife, her sister Peg Bowman, James Brown Jr., son of Dixon, and his wife Sally, and Peter Brown and his wife Susan appointed James Brown to sell the land. James Harris died before March 15, 1834, when his estate was sold and divided between James Brown, Peter Brown, Burrow Harris, and James Harris. Peter Brown was executor. James and Susanna may have been the parents of. We got James Jr., born, say, 1782, head of a Charles City County household of 6 other free in 1810. The inventory of his Charles City County estate, taken on June 2nd, 1826, included a sheep, a cow, and a bedstead, and totaled $13.92. All right, let's keep moving. Next, we got Chavis Harris, born, say, 1780, and his wife Susanna were named in the November 12, 1803 Charles City County will of his mother, Frances Harris. He was head of a Charles City County household of 8 other free in 1810. His father-in-law, Dixon Brown, made a January 24th, 1811 Charles City County will, proved January 18th, 1821, by which he gave Chavis and his wife, Susanna, and her brother, Dixon Brown Jr., 40 acres, where they were then living. He was called Henry C. Harris when he proved Dixon Brown Sr.'s will on January 18, 1821. On January 4th, 1825, he was called Chavis Harris when he purchased 3 1/3 acre in Charles City County, known as Ben's, adjoining his land and bounded by Henry Adams. But he was called Henry C. Chavis when the purchased 75 acres adjoining his land and bound by Henry Adams and Morris Harris from David and his wife, Lockie Gloin, on November 8th, 1830. His wife, Sally Harris, apparently his second, born about 1795, registered in Charles City County on June 21st, 1832, a woman of color, age 37 years, born free in this county. He was called Henry C. Harris, and his December 24th, 1832 Charles City County will proved February 21st, 1833. He gave a bed to his son Benjamin, gave 3 1/3 acres of land, which he had purchased from Cornelius and Lockie Brown, to his sons Burwell and Benjamin Harris, gave grandchildren Zebedee and Julian Ann Harris a cow, daughter Patsy a bed, sons Thomas, William, and Burwell Harris 2 shillings each, and divided the remainder between all his children. He named Peter Brown and his son Burrow Harris executors. Francis Bowman dug his grave, and James Brown made his coffin. And it says his children were. We got Thomas, born, say, 1805. William, born, say, 1807. Burwell, born July 3rd, 1810. Registered in Charles City County on November 17th, 1831. Son of Henry C. Harris, 21 years of age. 3rd July last, born free in this county. Then we got Benjamin Hampton, born in February 1812, registered in Charles City County on November 17th, 1831. Son of Henry C. Harris, a boy of brown complexion, 19 years, and February last, born free in this county. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we have Moses Harris, born, say, 1748, was the mulatto son of Eleanor Harris, who was bound to jury stiff gentleman by the church wardens of St. Andrew's Parish in Brunswick County, Virginia, on January 23rd, 1753. He was granted 229 acres in Craven County, South Carolina, on May 7, 1774, based on a plat of March 1st, 1773, and received a plat for 400 acres on Griffin's Creek in Richland County, South Carolina, on August 12, 1779, or 1799, excuse me. He was counted in the Richland County, South Carolina census as white in 1790, as were all mixed-race families in that district. And it says head of a household of 5 males over 16, 2 under 16, and 1 female. And head of a Richland County household of 5 other free in 1810. He may have been the father of. We got Barry, head of a Richland County household of 8 other free in 1810. Moses Jr., born before 1776. Head of a Richland County household of 3 other free in 1810 and 11 free colored in 1830. Then we got Griffin, born after 1775, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of Richland District was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1822. And head of a Columbia Richland District household of 15 free colored in 1820. Then we got Isham, born about 1800, a mulatto, counted in the 1850 census for Richland District with wife Priscilla Harris and 12-year-old Elizabeth Salomon. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, we got Edward Ned Harris, born, say, 1760, was counted in the Richland County, South Carolina census as white in 1790. Head of a household of 1 male over 16, 2 under 16, and a female. And head of a Richland District household of 6 other free in 1810. Female persons of color who were residents of Richland District in 1806 who petitioned the South Carolina legislature to be exempt from the discriminatory tax levied on them included Eleanor, Keziah, Liddy, Elizabeth, and Clarissa Harris. It says his son, Roland Harris, appeared in Richland County Court in 1850 to make a declaration to obtain a survivor's pension for Edward's service in the Revolution. He stated that he was about 61 years old, was the son and heir of Edward's widow, Clarissa Harris, deceased, and that his father's comrades in the service from the same neighborhood were Gideon Griffin, Morgan Griffin, Barry Jeffers, Allen Jeffers, Osborne Jeffers, and Edward's cousin, Drury Harris. James Rawlinson testified on May 14, 1850, that Edward's service in the Revolution with the same men named by Roland, that Edward married Miss Clarissa Wilson, who remained a widow about 20 years after Edward's death. She died in 1848. Their oldest son, Jacob, had died, and Roland was then the oldest survivor. Manuscript papers in the possession of the family recorded that Clarissa died on September 15, 1848, and that Roland Harris, John Harris, Stark Harris, Randall Harris, and Eliza Sneed were their only surviving children. George Griffin swore, signing on May 14, 1850, that he was a neighbor of and well acquainted with James Rawlinson. Then it says Clarissa was head of a Richland District household of 8 free colored in 1840, and it says they were the parents of We got Jacob, born after 1775, one of the free people of color, from whom the sheriff of Richland district was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1821 and 1822. And it says head of a Richland district household of 6 free colored in 1830, deceased by 1850. Next, we got Roland, born about 1795, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of Richland District County was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1821 and 1822. A mulatto, counted in the 1850 census for Richland County in 1850 with his wife, Elizabeth, aged about 60. Then we got John, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of Richland District was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1821. Next, we got Stark, born about 1800, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of the Richland District was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1822. A 50-year-old mulatto planter with $100 real estate, counted in the 1850 census for Richland County, with wife Polly Harris. Then next we got Randall, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of Richland District was unable to collect the discriminatory tax in 1821 and 1822. Then we got Eliza Sneed, born about 1800, one of the free people of color from whom the sheriff of Richland District was unable to collect a discriminatory tax in 1822. Apparently the wife of Isaac Sneed, head of a Richland County household of 3 free colored in 1840. The 50-year-old mulatto Elizabeth Sneed in Isaac Richland's county household in 1850. All right. Keep it moving. Next, we got James Harris, born on January 14, 1748, in Dinwiddie County. Was a free man of color residing in Patrick County, Virginia, on February 12, 1835, when he appeared in court there to make a declaration to obtain a pension for service in the Revolution. He stated that he moved from Dinwiddie County to Orange County, North Carolina in 1775, resided in Orange County until 1781, and then moved to the part of Henry County that later became Patrick County. He was drafted while resident in Hillsborough, Orange County on July 13, 1780, and was employed in doing various duties about the camp. His widow, Keziah, was about 80 years old on April 10, 1855, when she appeared in Patrick County Court to obtain a widow's pension. She stated that her maiden name was Keziah Minor, and that she and James had married in Rockingham County, North Carolina in April of 1801, that her husband died about 1842 or 1843, and that he was a horse keeper. And it says on February 12, 1860, she appeared before a notary public in Highland County, Ohio, where she had moved with her son, to ask that her pension be moved from Patrick County to Cincinnati. And then it says James was a mulatto taxable in Patrick County in 1799, listed with 2 tithes in 1799, 1804, and 1805. Then it says, and head of a Patrick County household of 6 free colored in 1830. His widow Keziah was head of a Patrick County household of 4 free colored in 1840, and an 80-year-old mulatto woman born in Virginia, counted in the 1850 census. And it says James was apparently the father of See, we got Agnes, daughter of James Harris, married Burbage Going. July 26, 1810, Patrick County Bond. It says Beveridge Going, born before 1776, was head of the Patrick County household of 3 free color in 1820. Then we got James Jr., a mulatto taxable in Patrick County in 1806. Alexander, a mulatto taxable in Patrick County from 1807 to 1813. He married Judah Finley, 1807, Patrick County Bond. Then we got Tabitha, married John Rickman, 1805, Patrick County Bond. We got Nancy, married Cam Loggins, 1817, Patrick County Bond. Then we got Robert, married Nancy Goins, daughter of James and Nancy, 1816, Patrick County Bond. Then we got Clinton, born about 1791, registered in Henry County on June 17th, 1812. A Negro man, freeborn, 5 feet 9 inches and 3/4 high, of light black complexion, stout, strong, and well made, 21 years old, the 15th of this instant, and who served his apprenticeship to John Cox of the said county, was this day at the request of said Cox registered. All right, keep it moving. All right, next we have Morris Harris. Born about 1778, was head of a Charles County household of 5 other free. In 1810, in October 1826, he and his wife Patsy appointed James Brown to sell 10 acres, which his sister, Susanna Harris, deceased, received by the will of Dixon Brown. He was a 73-year-old farmer in the list of free Negroes for Charles City County in 1851. He and his wife Martha were listed with $130 real estate and their children in the 1850 census for Charles City County. His descendants sued in Chancery in 1883 for a distribution of his estate among the heirs who were named in his will, which was included in a Chancery file. By his Charles City County will approved September 17, 1863, he left his son Valentine Harris 10 acres, his son Mitchell Harris 10 acres, on which he was then living, his son Morris Harris 10 acres, his daughter Abby Harris, the house he was then living in, and 10 acres around it. His daughter Pamela Harris, 10 acres of land adjoining Abby's land, 10 acres to Susan V. and Fanny Harris, children of his son Peter Harris. And the residue to his son Matthew Harris, then it says his children were. We got Valentine, born 1806 to 1812, a mulatto, counted in the 1850 and 1860 Charles City County census with wife Harriet and children. His children were James A., Austin C., Peter, Charles A., Harris, Margaret White, George W., Robert, and Susanna Harris. Then we got Sandy, born July 2nd, 1808, registered in Charles City County on December 16th, 1830, son of Morris Harris, a bright mulatto man, 22 years of age, July 2nd last. Then we got Mitchell, born September 11th, 1811, registered in Charles City County on February 21st, 1833, son of Morris Harris, a bright mulatto man, aged 21 years, September 11th last. He died intestate, leaving children Chastine Harris, Sandy M. Harris, Patsy Smith, Lanaya, who married Timothy Brown, Lucy Spurlock, Missouri Harris, Lockie Wallace, who died intestate without children, and Nancy Harris, who died leaving 6 children. Martha A., Mary J., Thomas C., James H., Betsy B., and Nancy M. Harris. All right, next we got Peter, born January 20th, 1814, registered in Charles City County on June 18th, 1835, son of Morris Harris, mulatto man, 21, January 20th last, father of Susan V. and Fanny Harris. Then we got Pamela, born June 4th, 1820, registered in Charles City County on August 21st, 1834, daughter of Morris Harris, age 14, last June 4th, bright mulatto. She died intestate, leaving children Westmore Harris and Rahab Wilson. All right, next we got Matthew, born June 1822, registered in Charles City County on August 21st, 1834, son of Morris Harris, age 12, and June last, a mulatto boy. And we got Susan, born July 1824, registered in Charles City County on August 21st, 1834, daughter of Morris Harris, age 10, and July last, a mulatto girl. Then we got Abby, born about 1827, registered in Charles City County on August 21st, 1834, daughter of Morris Harris, age 7, and April last, a mulatto girl. All right. Then it goes on to say other members of the Harris family from the Petersburg area were Fanny, born, say, 1756, a mulatto girl bound to Miles Tweet of Prince George County when he issued a bond for £5 currency for the remainder of her time to Francis Epps, who placed an ad in the Virginia Gazette on March 12, 1767, stating that he would not pay the bond because Twet had no right to sell her time. She was the mother of Nancy Brogden, who registered in Petersburg on July 8, 1805. Nancy Brogden, a very light mulatto woman, 5 feet 2 inches high, 30 years old, long curled hair, holes in her ears, born free and raised in the county of Chesterfield, daughter of Fanny Harris. All right, then we got Rebecca, born about 1760, registered in Petersburg on August 18, 1794, a light brown mulatto woman, 5 feet 1 inches high, about 34 years old, born free in Chesterfield County. Next, we have John, born, say, 1761. And we got David, born, say, 1765, registered in Petersburg on June 14th, 1810. A brown mulatto man, 5 feet 6 inches high, 45 years old, born free and raised in the county of Chesterfield. Next, we got Ruth, born, say, 1767, mother of Eliza Harris, who registered in Chesterfield's County on October 9th, 1807, daughter of Ruth Harris, who I have known for 18 or 20 years back, and she was a white percentage. Eliza, born September 19, 1788, was bound to Miss Elizabeth Moody by order of the County Court of Chesterfield, Haley Cole. All right, next we got Patterson, born about 1774, registered in Petersburg on December 7, 1796, a light brown mulatto man, 5 feet 10 and a half inches high, 22 years old, with short bushy hair, his eyes rather dark, yellowish gray, born free and raised in the county of Dinwiddie. All right, next we got Patsy, born about 1775, registered in Petersburg on June 9th, 1810. A light yellow-brown mulatto woman, 5 feet 5 inches high, 35 years old, born free in Dinwiddie County. And we got William, born about 1783, registered in Petersburg on June 24th, 1805. A brown mulatto man, 5 feet 5 inches high, 22 years old, born free in Chesterfield County. He was a mulatto taxable in Chesterfield County from 1806 to 1809. Then we got Archer, born, say, 1788, a mulatto taxable in Chesterfield County in 1809, living on Miss Hablin's heir land. All right. Let's keep it moving. Next, we got Joan Harris, born about 1761, was born in Prince George County and residing in Dinwiddie County when he was enlisted on June 6, 1782, for 3 years in the Revolution. Age 21, 5'4.5", high, yellow complexion, hazel eyes. Then it says he was a soldier who was enlisted in the Revolution in Petersburg and served as a drummer, according to the application for a pension by his children who were living in Wilkes County, North Carolina. On July 3rd, 1852, when they applied, they declared that he and their mother, Mary Walker, were married by the Episcopal minister in Dinwiddie County in October or November 1785. They moved to Randolph County, North Carolina, near the old courthouse called Randolph Crossroads. Lived there for 5 or 6 years and then moved to Rowan County near Lexington. And it says Davison County, where their father died on April 20th, 1806. John may have been the free Joan Harris, who was taxable in Dinwiddie County in Braddock Goodwin's district, adjoining free Andrew Harris in 1801. Their mother, Mary Drury Mitchell, head of a Wilkes County household of 8 other free in 1810. Their father had a record of marriage and the births of his children, but the record was taken off by Drury Mitchell. It says Mary purchased 85 acres in Wilkes County from Jordan Chavis in 1829. It says her August 20th, 1833 Wilkes County will, proved February 1834, named her 7 children: Nancy, Lucy, Jehu, Isaac, Polly Bailey, John, and Ibby. It says their children were Nancy, born about 1786, married William Ferguson, October 27, 1802, Rowan County bond. She was the oldest child of John and Mary Harris, according to William Ferguson's deposition in support of the Harris family pension application. William Ferguson was head of a Wilkes County household of 8 free colored in 1820. Then we got Lucy, born, say, 1792, married Jordan Chavis as his second wife. Then we got Jehu, born about 1794, married Clarissa Chavis, June 1st, 1821, Wilkes County bond. John Harris bondsman. Jehu and Clarissa were counted in the 1850 Wilkes County census. He, a 63-year-old mulatto farmer, born in Randolph County, and she was a 50-year-old mulatto born in Wilkes County. Then we got Isaac, born about 1800, married Icy Wooten. September 22nd, 1832, Wilkes County bond. He was 52 years old in 1852. Then we got Polly Bailey, probably the wife of Jesse Bailey, free colored, head of a Wilkes County household of 4 in 1820. Then we got John, deceased by the time his mother made her will. Then we got Ibby Anderson, born about 1807, 45 years old in 1852. Then it says, other Harris family members in Virginia were John, born say 1710, a mulatto fined by the Accomack County Court on June 4th, 1736-37, for swearing 6 profane oaths. Then we got George, born say 1752, a Negro, tithable in Gloucester County in 1770. He was a free Negro in St. Paul's Parish, Hanover County, where he was tithable from 1806 to 1812, and tithable on a horse in 1815. All right, and last portion here, Craven County, North Carolina. It says Thomas Harris, born about 1747, was a 12-year-old mulatto orphan ordered bound to Thomas Hayling to be a tanner by the May 11, 1759 Craven County Court, taxable on 100 acres in District 3 of Craven County in 1779, and head of a Craven County household of 10 other free in 1790. He may have been a brother of Joan Harris, who was taxable on 335 acres in District 3 of Craven County in 1779, and head of a Craven County household of 6 other free, 3 slaves, and a white woman in 1790. Thomas was probably the father of Isaac, head of a Craven County household of 7 free colored in 1820, and then Mary, head of a Craven County household of 6 free colored in 1820. All right, relatives, so that there, we come to the end of it, but that there is the Harris family. And as you can see, really long, lengthy family history. As I stated in the beginning, this particular family is well-documented history as Sioux Indian people. They definitely were in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. They were probably also in Maryland as well. I'll have to check into that. But again, I did this for one of the subscribers who I chatted with today in a live I had earlier about his family lineage. So if this name actually comes up for you and your lineage as well, these people, you know, all of the families that we're reading about are American Indians, but this one I know is definitely core surname for a lot of the Indian tribes in the Carolinas, Virginia, you know, Maryland, and all those areas. So let me stop screen sharing for a minute. All right, relatives. So again, I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch the videos, like always. Thanks for stopping by, and one love to each and every one of you, and I will see you next time. Peace.